welcome to the launch of The Power of Learning from Dads. We're going to start with Chris, who will introduce both programs and also introduce Salva. Then Salva will talk a little bit about the inspiration for both programs. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the platform. So I'm going to let you know how the platform operates. And then we will be hearing from colleagues who have each taken a particular chapter from the program, and they will be delivering that particular chapter, talking about key insights from that chapter that they would like to share. Now there is an order in which colleagues will be presenting that information, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat so there will be no surprises and you'll know exactly what to expect. So over to you, Chris, for our introduction. So Chris is our head of research, and he's going to introduce both Salva and these two programs.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Dr. Chris Wood, and I'm head of publications, research publications at Regent. I'm very, very pleased to have joined the organisation at an incredibly exciting point in its journey. And I'd like to warmly welcome you all to this evening's launch of, well, two incredible digital platforms: The Power of Learning from Dad, which is very much rooted in the teaching and wisdom of Selva's late father, and Think and Grow, which has been inspired by the works of Napoleon Hill. And I mean, these new materials build brilliantly on the award-winning Thinking into Character digital platform and materials that were published earlier. It's a real pleasure to introduce Dr. Selva Pankaj, who is the CEO and co-founder of Regent Group, and really the creative driver behind these two innovative and truly inspirational learning tools. And I'd like to give just a bit of a brief background to Selva, which will help put these resources into context before handing over to Selva himself. So it's quite a story, so I shall keep it very brief. But having grown up in Sri Lanka in the 1970s and 80s, I mean, a country really torn apart by civil war, Selva arrived in the UK in 1990 with just a suitcase and £100. But having really quickly found his feet, he qualified as a chartered accountant in the early 1990s before completing his MBA. And he's since studied at prestigious universities, including London Business School, Harvard Business School, and Stanford University. And I'm sure Selva will talk a little bit more about how some of these studies and the influential people that he's met have influenced him both personally and professionally. And it was from modest beginnings, a single £20 private tuition, that Selva, in partnership with his dear wife and his father, successfully launched Regent's first independent sixth form college in 2000, and then went on to establish Regent College London in 2010 to deliver BTEC higher national diplomas and provide students with alternative progression routes into higher education. That's only the start of the journey. It's chapter one, maybe it's chapter two, but there are many more chapters to be had as Regent strives to becoming a new British university, Regent Hill University, in the future. And at this point, without any further ado, I'd like to hand over to Selva, who's going to talk about tonight's materials and also within the context of his vision. So Selva, over to you.
Thanks Chris, and thank you, Chris, for organising the event. And I can see on the attendance, George is there, he's my mentor, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Bolton. Maurizio is our chair, the governing body. I must first thank you for both of your support. And we've got all our students, some students there and our team. So thank you for everyone coming along in support of this launch. So what happened to me today is my dad's 86th birthday. And it wasn't planned at all. Kush was motoring on trying to get this platform launched before Christmas. And as you know, that we launched the book on the 20th of August, which was my 50th. And we said we were going to do it. It was again a marathon run, and we did it started the book only after the lockdown in 22nd of March. And then I think Kush and Rasika worked incredibly hard with Caroline and the team to get this off the ground, as they call it. And I'm sure you guys will see what work that the team has done. So I'm not going to sort of go a lot about the program, and that's where the rest of the colleagues, in fact, one of our students, can start off with the first chapter, Greta, talking about the desire. But I just want to say the concept of why such materials is vitally important. I think, as Chris said, we are creating a new university, and post-pandemic, we focused a lot on something called a DAD. This time is a different DAD. It's digital academic delivery. And then we changed very quickly to do synchronous learning using Teams and various VAVs with our partners and our products. And that's perfectly fine. But our philosophy of learning is also about this constant pace of repetition, fixed with emotions, and also fixed with a purpose and being here at the moment without non-judgmental, which is an interesting part that we are exploring further in our study. And to that effect, videos are the easiest ways to do the asynchronous learning. So to get all of us together at 5 o'clock, we need to plan, we need to do everything. But once it's recorded, once it's there, truly you can turn that into anywhere, anytime learning. And I think that's what the technology is here to do. That's all that we are doing. So we have got DAD, and then we've got the ADAD, we call it, which is asynchronous learning. And then the other one is called BDAD, which is blended digital academic delivery, which we'll be doing when the vaccine works and the rest of it. So we have currently over 3,500 students, 200 of us, some great students there supporting us today. Then we are here to serve them. They are the boss. And we just here to look after our students and do the best we can. And every action, every team does well. So this is another dedication to our students. Therefore, they can learn this material, and then they can explore, think, and do things. One of the areas that we spend a lot of time about is this knowing versus doing, but also being, just being in the moment. It's something that I'm spending a lot of time about, that purpose, being in the moment, and non-judgmental, and just live for that moment and give the best you can. So our objective as a team, the next 50 minutes, is give everything we got about this program, because people come to us, they spend time, and as there's traveling now, still time is valuable. They're spending their hour, therefore they got to get something out, values. That's what we do now every lesson. So without further ado, I think let's see what this platform is all about. I mean, that's what we are here for, not just to listen to myself. I'm sure you've heard me many times. So Kush, over to you.
Fantastic, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have a look at the platform, see how it operates. We're going to log in and sample some of the content. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. As Salva and Chris have mentioned, all of these lessons are going to be on our online digital platform, www.tic.uk.com. Once you log into the platform, there's a members area for those of you who are members, and I'm happy to say that all Regent College staff and students are already members. So you go ahead and go to the members area of the login site. With your relevant details, you will log in. And I wanted to take you through it from inception, really from the search right the way through to the journey to kind of getting onto the platform and looking at the lessons. Now, as you log in, as you can see, we have our landing page. And if you scroll down, we have our 3 programs, okay? So the first program, which we launched a few years ago, Thinking into Character, will be there. But the 2 new programs that we're launching, The Power of Learning from Dad and Think and Go Rich, will be on the landing page. So just go ahead and go to The Power of Learning from Dad. So as you can see, you're on our landing page now. There's a little introduction to the overall programs, and you can see the lessons will appear on the side. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to one of the lessons and give you a demonstration of what the lessons look like, and then we'll have a little bit of a sample. This is a very broad program. We have a lot of content in this program, and it covers a lot of key concepts that are going to support students in their learning journey. So we have desire, attitude, and decision, DAD, and that is kind of the power of learning from DAD. That acronym comes from there. But we also have action, gratitude, and faith. We have knowledge, imagination, and planning. We have persistence, influence, and friendship. We have stimuli, mind, and wisdom. We have impression, opportunity, and laws. And we have ways, character, and leadership. So you can see it's a very broad range of concepts, each of which are integral to the student journey, to this inside-out model of education that we're building here at Regent. I'm going to go ahead and go to leadership because I think it's appropriate. So we can see a little bit of the structure of how these programs are embedded into the platform. So a lot of excellent work went into this by Rasika, who is our head of marketing. So as you go into one of the programs, as you can clearly see, each program is split into 2 parts. You've got part A and part B. Okay, so students can watch either part. They can watch them at one time, or they can take a pause. So as Salva was saying, this is the asynchronous form of learning at your own pace. You can repeat as many times as you want in order to really grasp and fully understand the concepts. And I think that that is really one of the key features of our digital journey and our asynchronous model. So you've got 2 videos here. Each lesson is split into 2 videos. You can see that for those students who don't have the time to sit down and watch, we also have an MP3. So this is something students can listen to over and over again in order to really grasp the concepts. So we have 2 ways of accessing the content, either via video or via the MP3, which is just the sound, the audio file. Okay. You'll see that there'll be a brief summary of each of the parts underneath the videos themselves. A rather long summary in this case. And at the end, I think it's important to note you have the download lesson button. Now, when you download the lesson, what you're downloading is actually a chapter of the book. So we also have a chapter in the book embedded into the platform. Okay. I want to point out one last thing before we go ahead to really just demonstrating some of the content on the platform, that on the right hand side you also have this navigation bar whereby you can easily access any of the lessons using this function. So that's another kind of very easy to use function for students. So it's very user friendly, it's very intuitive, and we've tried to make the platform as kind of easy to navigate as possible, and I think we've been very successful in that endeavor. I'm going to go ahead and play just 2 minutes of our leadership video just to give you a little bit of a flavor of some of the content in this program. I'm going to go ahead and just play 2 minutes. As I said, this is just a flavor. Okay.
Dad was my role model and my leader, and I'm sure every child, when they are growing up, looks to their parents to be their leaders, and they make a huge impression. And then in this lesson, I'm really going to sort of talk about leadership, and I want to sort of take a moment to look at how we can lead in a challenging environment and in a challenging economy. And in particular, while I'm teaching this lesson, it is during the COVID-19 pandemic, but I'm sure we can learn from that. This lesson will be listened to for many years to come in the future, but it's quite particular to try and draw some ideas and help today how we can help our United Kingdom and the rest of the world. Dad used to say that every organization, from the smallest to the largest, needs a leader. Organizations have their committees and their structures. But overall, every organization needs to have a leader. There's always happen to be one person. That said, the morale of an organization is not sort of a bottom-up exercise, it's a top-down exercise, and it is always comes from the leader. And he was very clear about that, and he sort of stressed that all the time, and that's went on my subconscious mind from a very young age. If you look back through history, starting from Mahatma Gandhi and thinking about great prime ministers, including Winston Churchill, that said there is only ever one leader. He said this lesson is based on the laws of nature. The true goal of all leaders is to get others to think of them as a great leader. But the goal of an exceptional leader is to get people to think highly of themselves. That is the only type of leader that will endure, especially in the new world, post-pandemic or post any difficult times in this world.
And I really like that quote. So I'm just going to have a little bit of a flavor so you guys can go onto the platform and learn more. So the idea that the leaders that thrive in a challenging environment are those that empower others, I think is a really powerful statement. And there are lots of powerful statements such as that on this new platform. So this is the brief kind of introduction into the functionality of the platform. When it comes to the content, I'm going to let our team do the talking. So what we've done is we've got 10 members of the team. Each of them are going to give a short presentation about one chapter or one area on the program. And we're going to start with desire, attitude, and decision. Dad, as the namesake of the particular of this particular program. As we're doing that, we're going to have a little vote. So we want you to be listening carefully. We'll have a little vote at the end to see which is your favorite presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and play the first three: desire, attitude, and decision. And then we'll have a few live kind of interactions with Kylie, with Scott, and so on. And then we'll have the rest of the pre-recorded material. Okay. So this will be desire, attitude, and decision. I'm going to go ahead and play.
My name is Gerda, and I'm a student at Regent College. Today I'm covering the first lesson, desire. Desire is something that we have absolutely burning inside us to do or to gain in our lives. Desire is the product of our mind, but our mind and body don't know the difference between having an actual experience and just thinking about the experience. Therefore, neurochemically speaking, it is the same thing. That is why it's so important to know exactly what we want. What is that what we desire? And to have a clear picture of it. To help to achieve what we desire, it is good to define in our mind how we're going to achieve it. Write it down on the paper, read it loud, create a vision board with the pictures that are related to your goal and contemplate on it. Finally, imagine that you have already got it. The power of this practice is that thoughts become things, dematerialize themselves. We all have desires, but nobody taught us how to train our minds. But by doing these simple steps, it is like ordering something online and waiting for delivery to come. Maybe it will take a bit longer or sooner to get it, but definitely what you have ordered, it's coming your way. That is the law.
Everybody, one of the important chapter of this book is the attitudes. You know, attitudes is a complex mental state involving beliefs and feelings and values and dispositions to act in certain ways. Attitudes changes everything. With the positive attitudes, you see the bright side of life, become optimistic and expect certainly a state of mind that is well or developing. Whereas negative attitudes is like a flat tire. You cannot go anywhere until you change it. Another famous quote by Winston Churchill is, attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. I can remember my dad always used to say during my childhood, To obtain right attitudes will not cost you anything, but it will help you to buy many things in life. We can see the main difference between a good day and a bad day is your attitudes. Therefore, it is rightly said by Dr. APJ Abul Kalam, all birds find shelter during a rain, but eagle avoids rain by flying above the clouds. Problems are common, but attitudes makes them. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Manal. I have opted to speak about decision. Decision is the art and the science of yes and no. It's about yes to dopamine, the hormone of happiness. That means yes to happiness. And it is about no to cortisol, the hormone of stress and sadness. It's about yes to study and development, no to Xbox and procrastination. So happiness is a decision, and life is a decision. To decide, you need to have a purpose, because the purpose will define your direction, will help you in decision making. To decide, it's about moving from dreaming to goaling, and the difference between dream and a goal is action. Therefore, decision is about action taking. Action taking requires efforts, so it's about measuring the performance. It's about how or what you want to be. It's about who you are, what you want to be, and how to achieve what you want to be. So decision, it's the art of practicing a happy life. It's about the art of filtering the information and taking the action that will meet the requirements of your life. And life is worth being lived or being happy, to live it happy. The life is the perfect ground. So life is the perfect ground to be seated. And there is no better joy than the joy of accomplishment. So take decision to be a better you and to live a happy life.
So that gives you a flavor of what our colleagues have got from desire, attitude, and decision. We're going to go now live to Scott, then Amit, Kashif, then Kylie, who will cover gratitude, character, opportunity, and imagination. So go ahead, Scott.
Okay, thank you, Scott Bushell, head of Click English, and good evening, everybody. The reason that I chose gratitude is because wherever you are in the world, whatever language you speak, an expression of gratitude transcends cultural barriers and it transcends linguistic or language barriers. I think that's very important. It is a kind of fundamental way of two humans connecting together. Now, what I really liked about Selva's lesson is that he extends this concept of gratitude into a permanent positive mindset. And if we can achieve that mindset, we can also achieve success and attract opportunities. This is particularly pertinent as we emerge from this pandemic, because we are now grateful for things that we once took for granted. And I think that we should embrace that gratitude, that positivity in a post-COVID world. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Fantastic. We're going to move on to Amit, who will talk about character.
Thank you, Kuswa. So I'm just uploading a presentation of mine. Okay, by the way, Selva, there is something I haven't told you, and I want to start with that. So I want to start by thanking Selva and my wife. My wife will be very surprised, not so much Selva. But anyway, I want to start by thanking both of them, as when I was looking for direction in life, and that was a dark moment. It honestly was a dark moment for me. And I was in my comfort zone, just being a teacher, but I was going through some dark. And I was looking for direction during that time. What Selva and my wife did is they opened up the world of self-development, right? I wasn't aware of certain things. They made me aware, and it changed my life. Since then, I've stepped out of my comfort zone. I've been progressing at work. I've been progressing outside work. It's opened life to me, So yeah, that's a great gift. Never mind knowledge, never mind anything else. They gave me the gift of an improvement of life. But anyway, to discuss the chapter of character in the book, I've selected my favorite let's say, extract or quotes, and I will expand on them. All right, action comes from thought, a very strong quote, that one. So depending on their thoughts, humans can grow and develop or even destroy. Our character is influenced by our environment, at least partly. I'd like to share an example I got from the book. While looking at a beautiful farm, and an onlooker complimented the farmer on his work, the farmer was grateful and explained this would have not been the case if nature was in control of the farm alone. Referring to our mind as a farm, everyone gets a farm, but it is up to us to cultivate it. We must look after our minds by keeping out negative thoughts. We can choose which thoughts to keep in our mind, as we are the farmer of our land, right? So quite a few quotes taken there from Salva, and honestly, very strong quotes. So humans do not attract what they want. They attract what they are. Honestly, this has helped me in my own life. I always thought it's all about our actions, but no, it is also about who we are as a person. But anyway, humans are keen to improve their life situation. However, they may not think to improve themselves to achieve this. If you want to change, you must think of self-improvement and take action to succeed, right? Taking action is key. Let's go to the next quote. I'm going to join the next two quotes together in a slightly different way that maybe a bit different to the way Salva mentioned it. I hope he agrees with me. So, combining these two quotes, nature helps the honest and it helps the person who has the right mental attitude. I'm going to combine that with, he who will attain highly must sacrifice greatly. You cannot achieve without sacrifice. Nature does not support people that may take shortcuts caused due to greed, viciousness, selfishness, and so on. They may do that to avoid sacrifice, right? The benefits received from this are temporary. Honesty is the only way forward, and we must sacrifice to achieve. I wanted to combine these two quotes as that's the way it made best sense to me, and I believe that's the way others should look at them as well. But anyway, I will leave you with this example from the book, which I hope will give you food for thought. You can only see through calm water. That's it.
I'm going to move now to Kashif, please, to talk about opportunity. Thank you, Kashif.
Thank you, Kush, and good evening, everyone. I have chosen opportunity from the dad lessons because opportunity have values and it leads to a successful career. Opportunity is a set of circumstances that create a need in a business to introduce new product or services, etc. My learning from that lesson is opportunities are available to everybody, and these are to be taken, and it will never be given to people. Looking at the qualities of opportunities, opportunities can be attractive if it fits within our needs and future goals. And if it does fit, we should take these opportunities. And if we are not clear on our future needs and goals, we will not be able to recognize the importance of these opportunities, and hence we will lose the opportunities because other people will take these opportunities. Another quality of opportunity is to react on to these available opportunities fast. Otherwise, we might be too late. So it reminds me one of the quote of Bill Gates, which Dr. Salva has used in one of his opportunity lessons, that if we born poor, it is not our mistake. But if we die poor, it is our mistake. Nature provides us opportunities, but we need to have clear goals and we need to have clear needs so we can grab right opportunities for our success. There are many ways we can identify opportunities, but most of the entrepreneurs look at the market trends. For example, this COVID-19 and this current pandemic has resulted many businesses to close their operations, and at the same time, this has created endless opportunities for many businesses to grow. I wish you all the best, guys, and thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you so much, Kashif. Fantastic. And last but certainly not least, Kylie on the imagination.
Hi, thanks, Kush. Good evening, everybody. I have chosen the imagination lesson to give you an insight to and speak on this evening because it's a lesson that speaks to me particularly personally because I've had real experiences of this, and also something that I've studied for some time. As the lesson outlines, Hill describes imagination as the workshop where everything is created and designed. And the lesson talks in depth about two types of imagination: the synthetic imagination, those ideas that are already kind of there, but by working on it in your imagination, you can take it to another level. And then there's the creative imagination, those new ideas that by working in your imagination on them can really spawn those kind of crazy kind of outcomes that you can only but imagine. I work on my imagination personally. I spend time meditating and vision boarding. Our first speaker talked about the use of things like vision boards, and that's where it's really useful to work on the imagination, really creating a picture in the mind of your goals and something that you want, because all of our minds work in pictures. And by focusing on that imagination and working that idea, you can really turn your desires into a reality. And I'll finish on the kind of personal note that I had on kind of visioning and how this worked for me. I had a vision board where I had my dream house, my dream forever home, family home, on my vision board with, the open plan kitchen and a 3-story townhouse. And I didn't really know how I was going to get it, but I focused on that vision board every day. And just over 2 years ago, I was kind of visiting my brother and just sat outside a show home. I could have spent time arguing with my family in the car while I was waiting for my brother to turn up and let us in. But I turned to my husband and I said, there's something about that house that speaks to my vision board. Should we go and have a look? And we looked around the show home, and everything within the show home, the layout, the kitchen, the 3 stories, it was all there. And the important thing about imagination and visioning is not worrying about how you get to the end result and the how you get to that picture. And we were there in this house and I had no idea. We had no deposit. I didn't know how we were going to kind of necessarily afford the mortgage or get approved for the mortgage, but there and then that day we put down the £500 deposit, and I worried about the how later. And because we were brave enough to kind of follow the imagination, I'm pleased to say I speak to you now from the 3rd story bedroom of that very townhouse, because I didn't know how we were going to do it, but things started to fall into place to make that imaginative idea come to reality. And we've been happy in this house now for over 2 years. But yeah, so that's my piece on imagination.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Kylie. There are many, many other speakers today, but I am conscious of time and I want to allow the space for questions. So we're going to do a poll at the end as to kind of the presentation that you thought was the most informative, most interesting. But for the present moment, I'm just going to open up to questions for Salva, maybe to expand more on his inspiration behind the project, or even to one of our presenters, Scott, for example, about gratitude, Kylie about imagination. No questions on getting mortgages. That will have to be a private conversation between yourself and Kylie, but we might have to follow up, Kylie. So Amit talked about character. So any kinds of questions that people in the audience have to address to Salva about this program, about its place in Regent, and about its place in our inside out conception of education. I'm going to open that out for questions. And I have a question to you, Salva, and I want to ask you about how these programs relate to inside out education and how that is a feature of the vision for Regent University.
Thanks, Kush. As you know, outside in education is what we are learning to our senses, but as we know, we found out there's more than senses, 5 senses. Challenge this job to share with you guys this morning. So there are senses there. So the outside in is very much what we're getting into our conscious mind with this, and the inside out is really working with integration factors, chapter 1 and the chapters in character of imagination. Will using that and utilizing that. And therefore, these these ideas will give you an opportunity to shape those intellectual faculties. As they say, the difference between an animal and a human is the animal have instinct, we have got an intellect. So that intellect needs to be developed like everything else in life, like the muscles need to be developed. So when we were born, muscles were not developed as we are. Exercise, what we do, we develop our muscles. If we don't do the exercise, the muscles won't develop. Likewise, intellectual faculties need to. That's what. So, and obviously, Clay takes a lot about inside out. And maybe Chris, you can add more to it, Chris, and it's your thoughts around Clay's view about the.
Just to build on what Selva has said there, I mean, one of the things that we're committed to at Regent College is, and I know this is something that's very close to Selva's heart, is bridging the gap between knowing and doing. And I think that links very closely to this notion of outside in or inside out education, in as much as traditionally we've often thought as education as being about students drinking in the knowledge and the theory that's imparted from their tutors and their lecturers and their inspirational figures. And of course, that's really, really important, that notion of both the general knowledge and the specialist knowledge that we want to take on board as individuals or students in our institutions. But also it's about applying that knowledge and putting that knowledge into action. And I think that's where that ties in very closely with the notion of inside out education, what we as individuals bring to that process and how we have the power to act on and develop and apply that knowledge. And I think it ties in a lot with what Kylie was saying about the imagination. And she was talking about the imagination there, and that's another important part of inside out education, because it's about being able to visualize and imagine and put yourself in that position where perhaps you're not 100% secure with your general knowledge, your theoretical knowledge, your academic knowledge, but you're not going to let that hold you back. You're not going to wait to be sort of filled up with the knowledge from what somebody else can give you, from that external in, but you're going to take what you already know and develop it and act on it and apply what you know so that you develop that learning from inside.
Selva, where do you see? I mean, it's a superb presentation, and the work that's been done has congratulated on both the presentation and the content, and it really is impressive, particularly in the time scale this sort of work's been done. Where do you see this going next in terms of learning from Dad 2 or whatever, in terms of the next stage of development to this particular line of work?
I think George is very much taking these 3 programs and working with our team. As you can see, it's so nice to hear from the team, and in fact, the student Greta just started off, and that shows that we're embedding this in the culture of the organization and our students. I think we're going to take a bit of time to get students to get familiarized themselves on an intellectual level, and then also the emotional level. They can watch the change in paradigm. That will probably then nicely begin in the next couple of years, us together creating British University, whereby some of this research will come into it. So when we create that university, it'll be quite nice to say, we just followed these procedures, and there you go, the building is there, and digitally we are there as well, not just in Google. So that's what we feel the next level is. It's bringing the team together. So there are 200 of us, 100 academics from the side, 3,000 pounds, probably get to 5,000 pounds a year. Really want to embed this quickly. Kushan can say more about how the whole scope project that we are going to launch and how that all comes in. So I think it's more time of integration, I would say, to the next year or so, using the 3 materials. And maybe Kush, be useful before we finish to show a glimpse of the Think and Grow Rich, which is effective Napoleon Hill, where we are going to call the University of And is that sort of answers the question?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you very much, Salva. Thank you. Very helpful.
Question, do you want to sort of expand that scope on that question that George asked, which will then complement what I just said?
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, George. Thank you very much, Salva. And well done on this project. I believe this is fabulous in the direction in which we were going. In terms of the Scope project, what we are embarking on now is sessions in which we build students' lateral thinking. And students, colleagues, what we're going to try to embark on is sessions in which we have discussions, we have various participants being dealt with in a manner that is reflective of their learning, their inside-out type of education learning, and that brings in well with what we're trying to do as to become Regent Hill University. Importantly, the scope sessions is not only built on the academic syllabuses, if you will, but rather learning beyond the syllabus and how students can build themselves to become the best contributors they can be in their society. So it's a fantastic fit-in mechanism, if you will, with this project. And I feel very honored to have written the project on Scope to become as part of this initiative.
And then do you want to say what Scope is, Bhushan? So it'll be good for colleagues to know what Scope is.
Of course, Scope is related to tutorial session built on success, built on character, opportunity, and student progress enhancement as a whole. So Scope is really success, character, opportunity, progress, and progress enhancement sessions. So it's rather what we're trying to be doing in those sessions is not only focused on academic success, but success as a whole. And that's the enhancement of their success. So it's very, very premature at this point in time to say everything about Scope, but what I'll say about Scope is that when the new year begins, we are going to enjoy it so much.
I just wanted to ask you, what do you think of the principles that Napoleon Hill discusses? Which one of the principles do you think is the most important from the perspective of student success?
I think, Kush, on that, it's the 13 principles that he talks about. And I think all 13 of them are vitally important. In fact, he says, and I've got this book to study all the time, and then the 6 senses he talks about. And sometimes he says, if you don't understand the 12 principles very well, 6 senses will be time for understanding. Again, it's very important, all our education is not just the intellectual level, the emotional level. We can understand everything intellectually, and we can answer every question in the book, but that doesn't mean we have emotionally taken that into account, because once you have that emotional intelligence only, his body moves to his intelligence, and then it's autopilot. So therefore, I would just say all 13 principles are important. But more importantly, it's not whether one principle or the other. And as you know, there's a lot of overlap of what Dad has said, and we brought those ideas in the debate with that. But the key is the history of the book is something that we need to really think about. So this is in the 30s, 1930s. Andrew Carnegie, British athlete, a Scottish athlete, into America as a laborer and worked in the steel industry. And then he became the richest man at that time. And he was friends with Henry Ford, Alexander Bell, Roosevelt, and the rest of it. And then he thought, you know what? All of us created that success in North America, and I'm going to die. I need somebody to put this into a book. He didn't know how to write because he never went to school. And he said that he made lots of grammatical errors once. And then somebody asked him, oh, that's a bit very bad, isn't it, Mr. Carnegie? You're making lots of grammatical errors. And he just explained why. He said, it's very simple. I'll give you an answer. And then they said, why? He said, I didn't go to school. So that I will make a lot of grammatical errors. So therefore, he couldn't write the book. But Hill was a journalist, Napoleon Hill, and then he was looking for this guy to come and write this book. And then he wrote, and it's a beautiful part of the service comes under that push, whereby he told Hill, and he was asking a lot of people, and as soon as he asked a question, he takes this little stopwatch and put it in there. And he'll ask a question to say, you have to dedicate 20 years of your life. You're not going to get paid any money. You're going to meet all the successful people, and then you've got to produce a book. But no payment. Most of the people says no, or most of the people say, I'll think about it and come back. But every time when he asks the question, he put a stopwatch. He only gives 1 minute. If anyone say yes after the minute, I said, okay, then he will think about it. He didn't give it to them. Hill said in the 47th second, he said, I'll go. And Hill became one of the richest guy afterwards. And then because he became so successful, not just financially, he changed so many lives. And why we are calling Regent Hill University, everyone is recognizing Carnegie Mellon, Carnegie Foundation, everyone forgotten the teacher. In fact, in the book somewhere it says, somebody will take the teacher. And we are all teachers now, we're educators. So that's why we could have called Regent College University, then we called Hill. So then obviously, you know, our life started in Harrow, and then Hill. So it's more than that chapters, it's time for our students and all of us. This is a philosophy. This is a way of life. We are going to. And somebody imagined maybe the book, and if you read carefully, one of the guys have said, somebody will take this book, somebody will celebrate this guy one day. I think Regent University, New British University, we're going to celebrate. And then we'll take it to the US and say, it's your man wrote it. Our man told you. Our man is Andrew Carnegie, our Scottish asset, our British asset. So it'll be a joke to start with Jack. So that's the plan. And the colors tells you how much we love this country.
Thank you, Salva. So let's just take you through how we might navigate. So as we logged in, remember we navigated to the 3 programs. This time we're going to go to the Rich. We're going to go to the lessons, and we're just going to play a short 2-minute clip from our shorter version of the lessons. So I'm going to go ahead and play that now.
I first discovered this remarkable book in the fall of 2015, introduced to me by Bob Proctor in the United States. It was an enormous help to me. It helped me decide once and for all how I was to accomplish my goal. It unified my thinking and gave me a straight, clear road to the point I had decided to reach. That which you desire with all your heart, I think, is the best expressed by Emerson. I think there is nothing capricious in nature, and in the planting of a desire, indicating that its gratification is in the constitution of the creature feels. In other words, you would not have the desire unless you are capable of its achievement. Each of us has an inbuilt governor, and our desires are modified by our abilities and learning. Whatever it is that you desire, with all your heart, understand once and for all that it can and should be yours.
So I think that's a really, really good place to end. So whatever you desire, understand that it can and should be yours by utilizing the principles that are discussed throughout this program. So we just have 2 minutes left, and I want to close by just thanking Salva for embedding these programs into the teaching and learning, and particularly for giving students a perspective through which they can really achieve a rounded, holistic conception of success. We're not just talking about academic success, we're talking about personal and professional success. And that's at the heart of Inside Out Education and at the heart of what we will be delivering at Regent Hill University. So before we leave, there is a quick poll just to ask you a few questions about how you felt about the event. The poll will take just a few minutes. So we're going to go ahead and put the poll up now.
Thank you, Kushan. Thank you to students for coming along, and Now let's start this journey. It's the start of another long journey. And, so glad to see Greta, who's already joining us, one of our students when we are facilitating. And I'm sure a lot more of you are welcome to join us as fellow co-creation, as we keep saying. Come on board. Let's have fun. Let's talk about this idea. There's no right or wrong answers here. That's the beauty of this part. And we can never be wrong. So please contact Kush, please contact Kush, and please contact the breakfast please and say, look, I want to teach this material and I want to get involved and I want to participate. Just come on board and you can do it. And I think we do on Saturdays a sessions. That's the last one we did in a series of 6. And as I said, it's open for all our 3,500 students. And all of you can teach this and achieve whatever you want. And we're really looking forward to that. It's for you. Please, and we are learning ourselves. There's no way we are anywhere near this. Emotionally, intellectually, I may have understood some of these concepts. I have a long way to go. But I'm looking forward to it. And thanks, guys. Have a fantastic evening.
Thank you so much for attending, and we will be in touch.